Alrighty. So, as best you can, set up your space. One chair for sitting, and then two other chairs or something that gives you what these chairs offer, facing the backs of the chairs in. That gives us something to put our hand on to give us courage to work on correct body mechanics and challenge ourselves. So you take the time to set your space up, one chair, two chair, backs of chairs facing in. You want to have a decent amount of room so they're not too narrow, you're not jammed in. You want to have like a little playground, a little training arena. And then once you got that set up, you got this third chair sitting back from these two. Then we'll start, as we always start, with just the most foundational practice, whether it's in a chair or whether it's on a meditation cushion of some kind. Start with seated postural alignment work, which is pay attention to any slouching that's happening. So we need to tip the pelvis forward. Create what's called zhongjung, which is this central plumb line that goes straight down through the middle of the body. The two main points there are the tip-top crown of the head and then the perineum, that point right on our pelvic floor between the front and the back, right in the middle. Those are two sort of like the positive and negative ends of a battery. In the energetic practices, those 2 points are considered like a battery, but also structurally, those 2 points give us that line that's straight down through the middle. And what a lot of times people are doing with their posture, if you're someone who's working on good posture, is you're holding this idea of good posture, but that creates all kinds of problems. It creates impediment and blockage, almost like glue. It's like squirting super glue all throughout the body when we are tightening and holding. And so Taoist practice really recognizes this and the importance of soft. Softening isn't collapsing. So it's when we think of soft and sort of being weak, in the same way, weakness is collapse, is areas that have sort of lost their cabin pressure. So softness with good alignment has a totally different quality. That quality is plump, spacious, open, a sort of levity in the body. If you've ever seen somebody practicing Tai Chi who's been doing it a while, you see a quality in their movement that has this, it doesn't look like they're working very hard to move through these beautiful patterns. And so how they explain that is gravity and levity, this sort of separation that we want to happen, whereas when we're holding our body, we're gluing those things together and then walking around clumsily. So, all that to say, you find your central pillar. That then allows you to let go of excess tension. Ideally, as you let go, you don't lose any of your structural integrity. But what you do is you feel a sort of loosening up of the bone and tissue relationships. And so you feel sort of plump, a little space. Allow Chunwan, or a downward sinking quality, to happen. That grounds you through the chair, through your legs, down. So there's a heaviness down. We don't want to resist that. And as you let that happen, you feel the opposite of that heaviness, or Qingling, light, nimble, agile. So when you do your home meditation practice, you can just seem like you're sitting upright and being there for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. But inside, you can be doing everything I just described, which is structural alignment, Relax and release excess tension. Feel that soft, pliable, light, nimble quality through your body as you feel also grounded. And then we add to that breathing in through the nose, long, smooth, and full. Out through the nose or the mouth, long, smooth, and empty. Inhale long, smooth, and full. Exhale long, smooth, and empty. You're just going to keep doing that. We'll do about 8 breaths or so. Few more breath cycles. Just remember, your morning practice could be just this for 15 or 20 minutes. And with Parkinson's, I think that's a wonderful thing to practice, this down regulating of the nervous system. Because as soon as things start to get stressed out, different little shake symptoms kick in or different stuck places activate. Can you become really, really comfortable and make almost your default setting be this state of alignment plus soft sunken plus light nimble plus thorough breathing? Can you calibrate and tune yourself to that state so that that's a place you gravitate toward? And this is important. People with Parkinson's, people without, we're all trying to train. That's why people meditate. It's why monks spend months, years trying to tune to this quality. Let's just take another 4 breaths. But again, on your own, you might take 40 breaths. Spend 30 minutes in the morning time before you kick off your day. So it's a simple idea, but incredibly rich because there's depth, there's layers to how many minutes you spend tuning to this. There's layers to it, there's depth. As my teacher says, there's no end to increasing softness and stillness. There's no end. And he's been doing it 70 plus years, right? And for him, he's saying, still hasn't gotten there yet. Really, you are feeling a shift, a change in the direction of softer, more at ease, more clear, more spacious. And then Tai Chi and Qigong, at the simplest level, is doing movements or mechanics without losing this meditative, soft, supple state. Because the moment I say, okay, here's our first movement, then usually at either a subtle or less than subtle way, we tighten up and we start trying to do something. So really practice staying leisurely as we take the hands and elbows back, shoulder blades back, lift your chest, lift your chin, arch, take a big old inhale as you do it. And then when it's time to exhale, slide those hands forward, hollow the chest, round the back, drop the head, opening the back side of your body, finishing your exhale. And again, so leisurely but thorough. Inhaling. And exhaling. A few more. Good news is it's not about stacking up quantity of repetitions on these various exercises. It's about being super present and really finishing each of the exercises. Just like flossing our teeth, it's not about how many times you do the little string movement in between your teeth. It's about, did you actually get to the spaces where the plaque is building up? And so that's what stands in the way of our improvement in getting these shenfa to create change, is how attentive are you? How thorough? Did you get all the way to one end? And then did you smoothly transition all the way to the other end? One more time. Hands, elbow, shoulder blades back. And then just settle right into that middle position. Settle for a moment, letting all the residue of the effort of that shenfa or body mechanic go. And then into the rotation. Left hand forward, right hand and elbow back. Turn. Look over the shoulder. Inhale, center. Exhale, turn. Really think quality over quantity. You're not trying to keep up with me. You're not trying to hurry up and get it done. You're actually doing the opposite. You're sinking into the practice, which is a different difficulty, a different challenge for us to really just be so present with every little micro movement, feel every sensation. Inhaling, center, exhale, turn. Inhale, center, exhale, turn. Feeding our brain from the body through the nervous system to the brain, right? In that direction, we're feeding the brain information to clear up the body map, to bring the brain-body network into more cohesive, clear relationship by being thorough with every repetition. Again, this is good news because it doesn't mean you have to do a million, thousand, trillion different exercises. It's more about how present are you with whatever you're doing, whether it's this class or any of the other classes you take. Bring this same approach to thorough. Back to center, hang the arms, change the weight to the right buttock, lean, left wrist floats up. This just allows us a little extra tip, which then allows this foot to come off. We're sort of tipping at the edge of the chair, and then come back to middle, tall, and then change the weight to the left buttock and lean the torso and lift that right wrist, which again takes the pressure off of the shoulder, then allows us to tip more, to dangle at the edge, and then back to center. Especially as we get older, and especially as you add any sort of limiting illness of some kind, or maybe it's an injury of some kind, what happens is the body gets sort of scared, natural caution, and then there's tension that holds on, but that doesn't help us. We are more affected by being looser in the midst of our movement. We're more adaptive, we're more pliable. And it also buys us time, right? If I'm really stiff and I lean this way, I can fall over very quickly. That's what people report, right? It's that stiffness and then you fall like a tree. Versus here, you can get all the way there and still you haven't fallen and you have time. So you're also buying yourself time with how pliable, loose, and adaptive you are. Back to center. Scapular range of motion. Forward, up, back, down, neutral, forward, up, back, down, neutral. Most important exercises in the body. Why? Because There are people in the world who don't even know that the scapula are a thing. They think of their shoulders in a particular way. They think that everything happens right at this ball and socket joint, but there's an entire blade on your back that needs to be able to slide and shrug and slide back and down and move. And we reverse back, up, over top, forward, down. So again, there's plaque that needs to be cleaned out. There's density that, when the density is held in the upper body, makes us top heavy, causing more of a clumsy quality when we move. And then there's also the brain. There's a portion of your brain that's dedicated to this scapular activity and function, and we don't want that to fall asleep, just like we don't want anything else to fall asleep. We've got to have aliveness, awakeness through the entire brain-body network. Just got to have it. And bend the elbows. Elbows flare out and way up, and then down and in. Down, out, and up. Down, around, and in. Down, out, and up. Down, around, and in. And elbows back, down, forward, up. Forward, down, back. So through the weeks and months that you've been doing these practices, hopefully using the videos as well, what I would expect to see is an improved function for you. That maybe when we started, you could only get to about here, but now you're here, or here, or here. Eventually, you'll get to the place where, oh, that's as far as it goes. It's finite. It doesn't just go and go and go. There's a point at which you're done. Then we go elbows out, cross, and again, same thing here. You might have been able to get here, but now you're there, or here, or eventually you're able to wrap all the way around, and you go, okay, that's it. And then you go, ow, switch and close. Open, close. Open, close. Open, and loose. So this is the fruit of that labor, this feeling where your arms are swinging and loose, right? And when we do Tai Chi on Fridays, you find that you can keep this loose quality and move your limbs still. Whereas often when people go to lift their arm, they tighten and lift. So Tai Chi is trying to get us to feel this quality, this state of looseness, and then find that you still control the body quite well. And eventually you can have a snappiness to your movement. Now scoot your butt back a little bit, and we do the leg. So we fold the leg up, spring load it, push away, fully express, reload, and then set it down relaxed and loose. So the fruit of the labor is you put it down and there's less tension. On this side, like you're wringing out a rag or a sponge, you're bringing it in, you're extending it all the way out, and then bringing it back, and then down. We're cleaning the roads, cleaning the mechanism. Loose, 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 scraping out what's in the way, squishing, extending, squishing down, the spongy quality of our body, reclaiming that instead of that stiff quality that every morning we wake up stiff, and then we got to do something to reclaim this function. Now, straighten right leg, point, flex, point, flex. And then tilt the foot in, out, circles, in, around, and out. Out, around, and in. And switch. Point and flex. Tilt the foot a little in, out, out. And circle. Reverse circle. And then scoot forward on your chair. Last thing with the legs here, step a little wide. Now we lift the toes, turn internal. Knees and toes turn in, and then lift the toes and turn out. So we're swiveling on the heel as the pivot on the ground, but really it's the rotation in the hip socket. Open, close. If doing it right, the pelvis and spine and head, and of course rib cage, everything connected, is essentially not moving at all. So there may be some little ripple of some kind of movement, but the basic idea is we're separating this mechanism from being stuck together to functional. Open and close. Open and close. Now neutral, same mechanism, but now fold, sit vertical, and tip back. Do it at your own pace. Again, never feel rushed, because thoroughness is the goal. Fold, sit vertical, and back. And again, it's so important because in lieu of this mechanism working right, what I see people doing is bending, arching, and then trying to stand up like this when they haven't achieved this. This freedom of movement is what allows the function of your vehicle, right? It's just can't overstate the importance of it. So now let's use that to stand up. We slide the feet back, shoulders are loose, just like I described. You want to keep them like octopus tentacles. Fold. Now let your body weight pour out of the chair down to the floor through your feet. So that's the chun one, down, letting the weight stay down underneath. Don't bring it up with you using tension. Stay relaxed. Now just do this movement a couple of times. The butt goes back a little bit. The shoulders and arms and everything hang forward. And then back to vertical. So just this movement, try to achieve this. This usually causes people sort of a problem because they're not relaxed. So when I'm relaxed, I can just go, and I can do this. And my body retains its equilibrium by itself. But if I try to do this when I've got tension in the shoulders or I'm holding on to my body in some way, it reveals that. So this is your first test to say, can you be relaxed? Now, once you're in this shape, then you start sinking. But notice my knees bend, but it's not because I'm pushing my knees. It's because I'm folding more here and more here and more here until my butt gets down. I still haven't committed to my chair. My knees are bent, but my body's relaxed. Then I can go, okay, chair. And I'm back. And we stand up. So it's this fold. And I'm not worried about going up. I'm worried about going forward. Then this up. The body just... So you get all this tall verticality, but it's not because I'm pulling up. It's the opposite. It's because I'm letting everything go down and then finding there's a buoyancy, a levity. And then in that loose levity quality, I can just fold and sink. So that's where speed comes back. That's the cool thing, is that the more loose you are, the less you're rushing, the more you can actually efficiently just fold and ride. And fold and sink. So it then appears like you're moving fast because you are, but inwardly you're not rushing. You're in a state of relaxed, leisure. Now do a couple where you don't sit in the chair. Just fold and sink. Don't sit down. And use this to see, can you touch your toes? Can you touch the floor? Could you get that pen that you dropped? And then push through the ground and rise tall. Not only does this function as a getting something off the ground, but it actually keeps all your mechanisms healthy. This fold and sit, opening of the low back, dangling of the shoulders, kind of loose quality through the head and neck. This helps keep this folding, unfolding quality healthy in the body. So freedom of movement. Now, you've got your chairs hopefully set up like this. The reason I ask you to do that is because the exercises are built within that framework. Stand in front of this chair, fingertips able to touch, and then try to not use the hand on the chair, but know that you can grab it at any moment for safety. And if you look at your feet, you realize, oh yes, I have more foot in front of the ankle and none really behind the ankle. So it's built asymmetrical towards the front. So the front, we can really tip and get to the tips of the toes. So go ahead and do that. But remember, the tendency as soon as we challenge ourselves is to tighten. But Tai Chi, the courage required in Tai Chi is, can you relax? Can you relax? And then you go back to the middle, and then can you just arrange yourself a little more towards the heel? So you flirt with disaster, but make sure you have your hand near the chair so that there will be no falling, right? A zero tolerance policy for falling, but we do have to challenge. We got to tip forward, get to the tips of the toes, kind of go to that place where you're like, whoa, I'm right at my edge, and then come back to the middle, and then go to the edge in the other direction, tipping back a little bit towards the heels, use the chair to give you that courage to say, okay, where's my edge? And let's just do that a few more times. This tip and tip. And so another principle in Tai Chi practice is yin and yang, the extremes of forward and back or folded and unfolded. All of those extremes exploration cultivates the middle. So how do we have a functioning middle pivot? It's by going all the way to this end, all the way to that end. If we go too far and fall flat on our face, that means we lost our middle when we did it. We just lurched forward or lurched backwards. So it's this going to the edge while retaining a middle. And then going to the other edge while retaining the middle. And that trains our middle from being an idea to an actual functioning middle. Now, fingertips on chair, tip to the front and lift. Stay in the front of your feet as you lower. And then tip back. Here, do use your chair with one or both hands so that you can pull the fronts of the feet up. And then down. Then you tip to the front. You stay in the front as you both lift and as you lower. And then you tip back or rock back. Now you're in your heels and you pull the toes up and lower. So again, we're training this middle to retain its function through the extremes of yin and yang. And in a way, there's almost endless exercises to do. But if you think about it from the foundation of, okay, I'm training my middle by exploring my extremes. That can be in yoga, boxing, dancing, Tai Chi, Qigong, whatever. But here we're doing what we're doing. Now, hands on the chair, heels of hands. So you're kind of resting there. Walk your feet back. And there's a perfect distance where now as you keep your legs pretty straight, almost like locked knees, but not forced, and then you stick your butt back. And such an important mechanism. It's basically downward facing dog using your chair. And let this stretch your legs, stretch your back, stretch your shoulders. And then chest up, let the hips come forward a little bit. And we do that again. Hip hinge, fold. Any residue that's blocking functional movement is making you more clumsy. And then let's chest up, hips forward. Let's do this one more time. Hip hinge. And upright. Now walk forward, stand up straight. You've got your chair on your right side. Turn your right foot out about 5 degrees. Put all your weight in your right leg and put your left foot in front, touching the heel. So I'll turn sideways so you can see the different relationships here. Now, right hand on the chair, left hand on your thigh. Stick your hips back. And again, based on how that left leg is feeling, if it's tight, you might feel a stretch right here. So all you're doing is going like this. This knee bends a little bit. This leg is our sort of primary stretch leg. And then as you fold a little more, as it opens more, you can get to where you hip hinge completely and fold and slide that hand down the leg. And then stand all the way back up. And then do it again. The butt goes back. Now, option, if you feel pretty balanced, you could take your right hand on your right knee so that this hand is sliding, this hand is on the leg, but this helps again with balance. We're mostly in one leg, and then we're practicing a yin and a yang. Unfolded, folded. Unfolded, folded. Freedom of movement. One more. So we're training our middle pivot by challenging it to go into all these different shapes and angles and feel freer and freer as we go. Now, you got this leg here that was the empty leg. Put all your weight into your left leg. Tip a little bit forward and reach your right foot behind and touch your toe on the ground. So this could be your whole posture right here. You got your chair for safety. And then as available, tip more and more and more. And then back to vertical. And again, notice I did not lose my straight spine. So I didn't round my back. So I kept this integrity, and I'm folding here. I'm training this middle equilibrium point to say, oh, can I find equilibrium and keep equilibrium here? And see how that same quality of equilibrium is present when I'm vertical to when I'm horizontal. Vertical and horizontal. Because usually we're holding up here and then we can't keep our equilibrium. But as we relax that, then we find, oh yeah, there's this pivot in here. We're back. Let's do it on the other side. We shift over here. We'll go first to that exercise where you turn your left foot out 5 degrees, put your right foot in front, heel touching. Right hand on your thigh. And so from the hips, but also from that middle pivot, hip hinge. As it's available, you slide your hand down. Maybe it's just to the knee, maybe it's the shin. Eventually, you fold the hips enough that you can round the back, slide the hand all the way to the foot, and then stand vertical to tall. And then hip hinge, fold, and back up, tall. Hip hinge. Maybe even take left hand on left knee there, or left thigh. This is just an added challenge for balance, is that you're just standing. Fold, empty or emptier. And then as you fold, this hand stays here. This one slides down, up. And again, we're just training equilibrium in different shapes, different angles. Now we're vertical. Now you let that weight go down through this leg. Tip your body a little forward and bring your other foot back behind you. So you've got a straight line from ear to ankle, right? So this could be your whole posture. You create this shape, and then you could practice no hands, hand on chair, no hands, hand on chair. That's kind of beginning level. As you feel more comfort, you keep the hand on the chair and like a seesaw or like a teeter-totter. And make sure you come all the way back to vertical. So you're standing vertical and then working on keeping equilibrium. Tip, it could be to here or here or here. You go to the edge where you start to get really sort of whoa, 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 and then you'll come back up. But it could be teeter-tottering and back to vertical. A few more. So our chair or our whatever our crutch is that we're using can be so useful to us because it can allow us this courage to flirt with disaster a little bit, to challenge our edges and vertical. All right, so that little opening series informs, enlivens, awakens this pivot. Now, back to this first side. Chairs to your right, back up just a little bit. Hang the arms, ideally no hand on chair, but you use it if needed. Soft quality through the legs, soft and loose through the whole body. From this same middle pivot, change the weight to your right leg and to your left leg. This first exercise, very subtle, but important that you do not yank the foot up off the ground. You don't use any tension-based strength. You just melt, soften, and then allow this leg to have that soft give, and that will free up this foot. So test that now. As you go over to your right leg, can you swivel or lift and lower a little bit? And if as you pull it up, your body gets thrown off center, that means you didn't empty it enough. There's a state where it's empty. See how free my foot is? That's because I've committed to this leg. And then over to this way. And this one is really great because this is the Tai Chi you can be doing while waiting in line at the supermarket, while waiting at a stoplight when you're out in the street. Because if I stand waiting like this, locked up, and then it's time to move, you can be in a stuck state. So if while you're waiting, you're just doing Tai Chi, you're just shifting, you're separating empty and full while keeping your integrity of structure. You're staying loose and pliable, but keeping your central equilibrium. Now we add challenge. Stay in your right leg, lift the heel, get to the tippy toe, lower the heel, still empty, change. The weight goes down through this leg, which then gives levity to this leg. Put it down, change. Lift, lower. As you get better at this exercise, you have the sort of make it almost simultaneous. So as I'm letting my weight go through this leg, I'm lifting this heel. And then as I'm letting the weight go here, I'm lifting this heel. So then it just becomes kind of like walking. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. We see this. Keep your equilibrium. Don't lean too far. But there's movement. There's freedom of movement. There's a change that's happening through the body. It has to be loose to allow that. Now, hand on chair, go to your tippy toe and disconnect the foot. Reconnect the foot. Change the weight, same way. Then go tippy toe lift. Down. Change. Tippy toe lift. Down. Change. Tippy toe lift. And this is the same thing. You can get to the point where you're just going down and lift. Down and lift. If you emphasize down, keeping it down, 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 down. And then hand on chair for full range. Full range of this leg. Lift with a loose foot, loose knee, loose hip, loose leg all the way to the ground, still empty. Then change the weight. Now this is your sturdy mountain. This is your levity cloud, foot loose, knee loose, hip loose, down, change. So if you focused on getting to where what I'm showing you is the state you're in, you would find walking totally different. So the amount of steps you take in a day, which of course that kind of matters, you know, there's the 10,000 step goal or whatever. But if you're taking 10,000 steps that are training the wrong relationships and the wrong mechanics, that can start to work against you. So taking time each day to find this status of full and empty functioning pivot, so important. Now, make sure you're a little bit back from the chair. It's to your right. Put all your weight in your left leg. Put your right foot in front, heel touching. Now, change the weight to your front leg down to the earth. Change the weight to your back leg down to the earth. You got your middle pivot down to the earth. I've moved forward, but I didn't pitch myself forward, and I'm going back, and I don't pitch myself back. Nothing like that happens. It's just down, 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 down. Now we add the challenge. Down, lift, and lower. So this is where you could use your chair to give you that courage to say, okay, full, empty, and then change. And same thing, use the chair to give you the courage to do the little flamingo. Down, change, lift, lower, change. So doesn't seem to be some major change happening on the outside, but inside you can feel these mechanisms kind of go and change. So now it's full and empty, and then when you change, they change. You can make this one the simultaneous, where as the weight's going down, this is lifting. As the weight's going down, this is lifting. So the softer and looser and more through, the quicker. And hand on chair, we go full, down, change. Then we go full, back, change. As the weight is down, you the weight stays down, you feel this like an octopus in the ocean, this looseness with all your parts. Change. Up. Polishing out those places where things are a little stuck, a little less lubricated. And then the more you practice, the more you feel that lubrication, the more you have access to that system. Switch sides. Level 1. Change your weight to your right leg, left foot in front, and we go chain, chain. This one's so important. Why? Because it's just the most like regular walking. This is what you're going to do when you go to the bathroom, when you go to the kitchen, when you go out the door, when you go down the street. Right? It's just this change. Can you go 100, 0, and 100, 0. Now, level 2, lift, lower, shift, flamingo, down, shift. So you have the chair, but you can always say, okay, I'm going to take my hand off the chair and see if I can really soften in the midst of what's a little scarier when we start to float the leg off the ground, and then we got to change and float, and we soften. Chin. And level 3, the weight goes down, lift up. It's a great one to use the chair, especially to just break that space, that path, and free that mechanism. So use the chair for at least a couple rounds to really get the maximum range, to really floss the plaque out of the mechanism. And then again, if you've been practicing a while, you can start to feel like, oh, actually, that's clear. So then you can maybe try no hand, but be careful, right? Falling is not an option. We want to make sure that we keep ourselves equilibrium, safe, and switch sides again. Level 1, Put all the weight in your left leg, right foot in front. Now we just change. As this foot is empty, step it while it's still empty. Change. Change into the back leg. Step while the foot's still empty. Change. In the beginning, slow down enough to go separate empty and full. Step without shifting any of the weight. Separate empty and full. Back. Waiting a second. Stepping without shifting, then shifting. But as you get better at it, then it's just flow. It's just change, step, change. And so it then has a constant forward movement, just like your car. When your car's wheels are spinning, interfacing with the ground, your car feels like it's moving straight, right? So our feet are like that in the relationship with the ground. If we do it right, there should be this straight forward and back movement because the legs and feet are working like wheels. Like wheels. Level 2, hand on chair, lift, lower, shift. Now this foot, step over something. Change, flamingo, down, change. Now really stay down through this leg as the floating foot steps without any weight shifting. Then shift. Lift, lower, shift, stepping over, right? Light, loose, fluid, free. And then shift. This one, free and loose. And then change again. The down, 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 down. Not only going down, but staying down. Hand on chair, we go lift, lower, shift. Now, heel, knee, foot, down, all with this remaining upright. And then lift, reach back, shift. So this all remains upright, but not with tension. As we lift, tuck, reach, we still got our equilibrium just fine. And then we're just going lift, lower. The weight staying underneath us so that everything up top is Tai Chi. It's free and loose. The weight staying down makes this freedom of movement possible. Switch sides. Level 1. Weight goes into your right leg, left foot in front. We just go shift, step, shift. Shift, step, shift. The main problem is stepping too soon because you haven't quite achieved empty full separation, and yet you're trying to step, and so then that requires a clumsy sort of yanking on the body. So the slowing down enough that you can go full and empty change, step, full and empty change. Eventually it can be instant. It can just be change, step, change, release, release. And then eventually the weight never comes up, and so then it's just, oh, I'm gliding, I'm floating, and yet relaxed and connected to the ground. Level 2, lift, lower, shift, step over something. Loose, light, relax, change. And then this foot's loose and relaxed. And then change, up, tuck, reach, change. The down allows the up. The down allows the up. Down. You can get this relaxation through the spine and the hips and everything. Then you get a feeling of, oh, the weight never comes up. I'm always grounded. And then you can move with a little bit of spring, a little bit of swiftness. Then we go full lift. Use the chair for safety here, so you really challenge this full mechanism. Down. Full mechanism. Full. Down. This one, of course, always most important. To the left side of your space. Got your chairs on your left. You got a big old runway out in front of you. Level 1. Empty your left foot, put it in front. Change, step. Change, step. Change, step. Change. Backwards, change, step without putting the weight in the foot. Then change. Once you've gotten a full, then you also have an empty. The empty foot has the levity to step. Change. Once you create a full, then you have an empty foot that can step. And then you change. Then you change. And remember, your middle pivot is actually what we're cultivating by going to the extremes of full and empty. Full and empty. Every single step that you take correctly informs, enlivens, develops, cultivates the functioning middle pivot. So again, why do you slow down when you're practicing Tai Chi? It's not so that you are condemned to moving slowly for the rest of your life, which is how a lot of people think of it. They go, oh, I don't want to practice, it's too slow. But when you slow down, you actually get to practice this precision. Precision. It's like surgery. It's this precise usage of the mechanics in the correct state of softness. There's all these different families of Tai Chi. There's a zillion different movements that you could practice. But understanding the fruit of that practice, why would you do it? And why do the techniques in Tai Chi help us achieve that? That's what we're doing here. Now stepping over something and down. The weight's down underneath, so when you step over something, ideally you don't feel like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Down. The weight is down underneath, the rest of the body loose, and so you're using this levity to step down. This is also used when you're going to step up on a stair. You can imagine every single time you're changing the weight and picking this foot up to put it higher. This is you either stepping up a curb, but notice my weight is in this leg here and then down. So then the way to step up on a stair is not to lurch onto the stair and hope for the best. It's to commit to the standing leg, which gives this foot freedom to get up. Going backwards, be very careful. This is where a lot of times we sort of yank on the body. So this up, tuck, reach. Notice my foot is still empty. Weight is here. Change. Weight down through that leg, tuck, reach. Down. Lift, tuck, reach. Down. Lift, tuck. One more time with either level 1 or level 2. But the whole goal is let go of what you're holding on in your body without losing structural alignment. Feel that every time you take a correct step, you just put a little something in the piggy bank. You made a deposit into a more cultivated, more developed, more functioning middle pivot. So slow down enough that each time you do one of these steps, you're making a deposit. Because if you do it wrong, there's no deposit. Every time you do it right, there's a deposit. So that's how you accrue that function. Now, come back to the the right side with this chair in front. So we're not going to do side steps or rotations today, but what we are going to do is this ballistic movement step. So the first one we were doing was very casual, very functional, here and here. Now, just watch what I do. So if I have a straight locked leg, I cannot really do this next movement. So I have to have a little softness. So it's like a spring that's just lightly loaded. Now, this foot, I push off this leg and advance a good foot or so into this leg. But the down quality is key because I don't want to go lurching over my skis. And then the same thing on the way back. You got to have your chair here for safety, but you're pushing and then it's down though. Because you can see, you just watch me do this, advance, retreat, sort of like fencing or like boxing. This is a ballistic, explosive movement. But if I start thinking lurch and lurch, I'm going to get myself in more trouble because there's ballistic, there's momentum going on. So now try to have this where you go push and gather the weight down to the earth. So this foot was full, now is empty. And then push, weight down to the earth, this foot is empty. So there's a faster yin to yang change. Boom. 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 Now let's add this arm movement. So we gather up behind two fists, and then as we advance, forward. There's like a forward quality, but notice I don't go pulling forward. There's a forward, but my middle stays here. Then relax your hands, and this gesture, and down. Back, down. So this comes from 13 Energies Tai Chi. So we're coming up and back, sort of gathering up, and then going advance. And then drop your hands. And then scooping as you come back, down. Gather and push, relax, down. Gather and push. And we're going to switch sides. Come over to this side. So we've done this movement before, but we haven't added this movement. I just want to show the movement a little bit closer to the screen. So it's a gather fists, boom. This relax, this. And you can do this one fists or open palms. But this one helps with fists, just gives us this sort of drive, like you're pushing a lawnmower. And this down. So again, we add that movement to advance, dragging the foot, and then retreat, bringing the foot. So hands come up the back and then all together. Forward. Relax the hands. Scoop as you come back, down. So we're emphasizing down. Gather and advance. Down, under, up, over, and gather and advance. Retreat. So now we're involving the whole body keeping our equilibrium. The important thing of letting go. Let go. Gather and push. Now we don't stay stuck here, we drop. Let go. And then from that let go state, this. Two more. Advance. Pivot. Middle pivot stays there even as these go forward. Middle pivot stays even as chi goes down. One more. Wing, roll, fold, settle. Hands together, rub the palms, back of one hand, palm, back of other hand, palm, and quad, groin, hip flexors, tail, low back, sitting the buttocks, sweep down the outside of the legs around to the inside, come up the inside as you stand up to the navel, and groin, hip flexor, tail, lumbar, outer legs, inner legs, navel. One more. And so this is nourishing, helps the practice be more nourishing, but it's also highlighting for our brain the important mechanism, right? We're going navel, groin, hips, tail, lumbar, and then outer inner channels. We're highlighting those functional relationships. And then lastly, outer arm, turn, inner arm and off. Outer and outer, inner, outer. Final time, wing, roll, fold. Seal, 1, 2. Grab one thumb, fold over top. Thank you, everybody. Great job. Find your seat. Again, if there are any questions or thoughts or anything like that, feel free to unmute. Happy New Year to everybody, and yeah, let's have a good 2025 of development, cultivation. See if you can sort of make some upgrades. Bye, Renee.
Thanks, Otto.
Thanks. Good to see you.
Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Nice background, Carolyn. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, how'd you do that?
Beautiful
Well,
sky.
it's just to put your own screen on. It's a photo I took not too long.
Yeah, you can do. I think it's in the video. You know how you can start your video and stop your video on your side. There's a little up caret. If you click that up caret, then you see
backgrounds.
Yeah, I think it's
okay. I'll try it.
Adjust background and effects, that kind of
thing. Yeah, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and then you can choose
like that. The problem is it doesn't give you the depth. Yeah.
I like your new wardrobe. Very nice.
It just fits.
Kind of warm it up, right?
Right.
Well, all right, take care, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, Karen.
Bye.
How you doing, Chris? You good?